All right. Hello, everyone. So we have another Coexist meeting that's part of the On Average MD podcast. Thank you so much for coming. This is such a treat every single time. And then today I have a friend. So I'm going to tell you who she is, and then I'm going to tell you how I met Michelle, because I think it's really exciting. So Michelle Gean is both a writer and an editor. That getting your start at an online magazine where she served as an editor for writers like, okay, there's a lot of big names. Ryan Holiday, Billy Manas, Pema Chodron, Mark Hyman, and Lee Roller. Mark Hyman is huge in my sphere. And she grossed over 1 million reads and shares for her writing. Today, she runs a book camp where authors write, edit, and publish their books in 90 days. That's crazy and really awesome and exciting. What Michelle found through leading several boot camps was that the writing healed both the authors and the readers. So that's big. And while our mission, her mission at Book Writing Accelerator is to publish many high-quality books, her more hidden mission is to heal through writing. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the power of healing for writing. And now I'm going to tell you the little story of how I met Michelle, because I think it's really cool. So Michelle and I went, I think it's my 1 out of 2 creative morning, which is a really, really cool thing that's all over the world. And I went to the creative morning in Denver. Where basically it's kind of this, actually, it's kind of Coexist, but it's shorter. So it's like for 10 or 15 minutes, there's a speaker, super like incredibly good speech. But then you mingle before and you have coffee. And so I was like, in 2024, one of my goals has been, I want to be inspired. So I want to meet inspiring people. And I found this creative morning. I think one of our attendees here actually told me about it. And I went, and normally I don't like to go alone somewhere, but I went, and I went alone. And I think within 5 minutes, I was taking a coffee and I locked my eyesight on Michelle. And somehow we didn't talk. And we were like, you. You are new. I am new. We are now friends. And we just like hit it off from there. And I joke that I want the man of my life. I want to meet him like that because it was the best meeting ever. And I got to know you. And I remember I was telling you that I think I asked you what you were doing, and you're like, I'm a book editor. And I was like, oh no, that is crazy. I'm looking for one. And so then this friendship and, work relationship started, and super excited to have you.
Yeah, it was like 1 million synchronicities in like 5 minutes. Yeah. We're like, what?
Yeah, it was shared. It was definitely shared. So, Michelle, not everyone does what you do. How did you come to doing this? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so writing has always been kind of ingrained in what I do. At 3rd grade, I was in like creative writing and stuff like that, and would just always use it as a way to write thank you notes to people and different things like that on top of stories. And then flash forward to today, I'm working today I was working as an editor for a magazine. And just got to work with a bunch of authors. And from there, those authors came to me with the need to write a book. And that's where Book Writing Accelerator got started. I just started a methodology that not only combined, writing, editing, and publishing your book, but also with like methods to heal. So kind of in line. So you not only finish with a book, but you also heal through the process. So.
Well, talk to us a little bit more about the healing for the process. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of nonfiction writers, and there's a lot of research out there for like 25 years about how writing can actually heal. And I think it's coming more to the surface today about journaling techniques that you can heal through completing. But this technique's a little different. It actually you're not going to journal like about your day, like this is what happened, this is what I did. It actually is more, it's an expressive journaling where you go back to an actually a moment in time that was traumatic or it stuck with you. So it's a hard moment and you write through it. And so this technique developed by James Pennebaker, which has been known in the sphere of psychology for about 25 years, but it's starting to come out of that. You're able to, it stimulates the prefrontal cortex in a way that you start producing more white blood cells and you are able to heal from different types of things. So
yeah, that's super cool. And it's funny because I think we're all writers. And like I have the kids and they definitely start writing and it's really funny to watch that. And I've actually, that's really funny because I wrote my cancer journey and that's what I wrote. I wrote the story. I haven't published it yet, I guess. But it was healing. It was incredibly healing. And I didn't do it for that. I think I just wanted it out. And I didn't know that it would heal me. It's really funny.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of nonfiction stories like that. You're actually, without realizing it, actually doing the Pennebaker protocol, which is writing for 15 to 20 minutes through a traumatic thing. And so you sit down, you write for 15 minutes, which you probably did over and over again as you were writing your book. And you do that 4 times and it improves not only your health, but also your psychological health. And it's been quantified through research over time.
Okay. And so when you're looking at this and you're having like, I was going to say patients, it's clients, how do you explain the process?
Yeah. So the healing is kind of, it's that second effect that I built in through the methodology. But the real tangible result is you're writing your book. Like you're writing your memoir. Your goal is to share that with the world, whether it's for your business or just for you personally. That's the goal. And then the other part is just what I built into some methodology.
Got it. Yeah. So I have a question for you. Since you write for others, right? Does that heal you as well?
Not in the same way, right? Because it's not my experience.
Yes.
Right. So for this specific protocol, you're writing through your own traumatic or confusing or an experience that has stuck with you that you can still recall. So you can recall moments from childhood or even early adulthood and write for those 4 sessions. And sometimes it does get emotionally intense, but once you make it through that, it's proven that, there are benefits from it, not only physically, but psychologically.
That's so cool. I don't think I've ever done it like 4 times in a row or like even, like the same. I mean, first of all, like, let's be honest, right? Like who wants to revisit a traumatic event? Like, I mean, usually you compartmentalize it and you're like out. We have all written those letters to our exes, at least we women, and then you burn them. So, I mean, that feels good. You're like, okay, I'm getting closure to do that.
But yeah, I mean, that is part of it in a way. I mean, not a letter, but like if you write through the experience, like what you experienced, like that is proven too. So when I first started the book writing, like the accelerator, I was just an editor through the books, and the healing part wasn't a part of the methodology. And it's just something I realized a lot of my authors were nonfiction writers. They were writing about intense events. And like you, Isa, like writing through cancer, you sat down several times, 4 times. More than that. Oh, yeah, you got massive benefits.
Yeah, I see.
And you write through it. And so, it's just a really cool other result to writing your book.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm going to share this little thing because I think it's actually funny. Someone was telling me I wrote in English because my cancer journey happened in English. And so I had this mentor of mine who's French, and he's like, you should do it in French now. And I was like, hell no. And I'm going to tell you,
is it more personal?
It's just not that. I was like, I love my mom, but my mom is a French teacher and she corrects everything. And there's no way I would have written in French because I would have been like stopped in the process of like, this is not good, this is not good, this is not written properly. And so in English, it was just like, oh, that's fine. I'm not an English otter anyway, right? So it's okay. But I think that there is a healing in not having to think of how it is written, so that's
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's just supposed to be very free form writing, not concerned with grammar and anything else. And so, yeah,
it's really cool. Since we are on the healing, and that's really super exciting, talk to us a little bit about this. You said that there are some research in rheumatoid arthritis patients.
Yeah.
Do you know any? I have, and I will put it in the workshop, the notes of the show.
Yeah, so some of the quantified benefits from this specific protocol are rheumatic. So it does have a beneficial effect to rheumatic diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis. There's a lot of other like autoimmune. The patients, because of the stimulation of the prefrontal cortex when you're doing this exercise, increases your white blood cell count. So there's a lot of like autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, a couple other diseases that they actually tested and quantified the benefits from it.
That's so cool. So I started journaling. I don't know if I ever told you this. I started journaling with the cancer. I had never journaled before. And I tell my patients to journal as well through their fears. So one of the things that, I'll do is, and I still do it, is like, if I have a fear, I'll just like start writing the fear, and somehow I find a solution for the fear while writing. So it's kind of that's really cool. I did it like intuitively, just because it was part of this miracle morning thing.
Right. It's like, intuitively it makes us feel better. I think that's generally like perceived from journaling, but it's quantified too.
That's so really cool.
Stimulates the brain in a way that actually gets you.
Can you give us some example, if you have some examples of people where you're like, where they told you maybe their experience of healing? Like, do you have anything that's kind of concrete where we can be like, okay, it's not just Isabelle, right?
I mean, some of my clients were referred to their therapists, and that was like a really cool transformative experience, just because the events were really traumatic, and they came back out after that and they're like, oh, it makes sense now. Like, I don't feel like I need to dwell in it. So that was like a really cool experience.
You're not seeing my brain, but right now I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it. I have like a lot of ideas, guys.
It's just really cool, because that was kind of like the second part of this program. Like, obviously the first part is like, we want to get books out there, we want to get high quality books, and I'm just an editor, right? Like, I'm not dwelling into another, like going into another area, but it just, book after book, seeing that secondary results of like not only having a book in their hand, but also just seeing the process of their experience was just really amazing. And I was like, this is amazing.
That's really cool. So today the Coexist is a little different. So we're actually doing interactive thing. So what we're going to do for those of you who are listening to the podcast is that there's going to be maybe some silence. So maybe we just pause this and we'll do some exercise, and then you can pause the podcast, and then we'll return. Go. Let's do it.
Okay. So we're not gonna do the exact protocol because it's very intense. But we're gonna do some other exercises. So the first one I want us to do, it's gonna be kind of an introduction. You're gonna introduce yourself to your partner, but you can't say what you do for work. So I want you to write yourself in the third person. So if it were me, I'd be like, Michelle ran this morning, and I want you to tell a story as a character in the story about something that brought you joy today. And that's how you're going to introduce yourself.
Okay.
So kind of taking you out of, like, I did this, I did that. You are now looking at yourself as if that is you down there. And I want you to kind of focus on something that brought you happiness, joy today, and kind of tell that story. I'll give you 4 minutes.
All right.
Does anyone, so first I want you to just turn to the person beside you and share what you wrote. You can turn to someone next to you, the closest person, and just share what you wrote together. Does anyone want to share with the group what they wrote?
Sure, I can read what I wrote. I then went to an 8th grade quote unquote graduation today. You would think that's a wacky thing to celebrate because it's just too early on in life. But when she walked in, she saw a diverse group of kids. The top 10 students were students of all sorts of backgrounds. And it felt like these kids had a lot of hope, and it brought Amen joy. Then they faced their parents and guardians and thanked them for various things, such as bringing them their forgotten lunches. And the families hugged and celebrated and came together, and the kids felt accomplished, and it brought a lot of joy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm just laughing because these two are instantly gonna laugh at the first line and might be triggering in addition to true. Zoe is a maximizer to her core and loves experiencing it all. When free margaritas in her apartment lobby conflicted with her normal running fine club, she was determined to make it all fit. She couldn't miss free margs, not considering how central margs were to her adolescence. But she also really needed to run. So she grabbed a meeting break and ran as far as she ever had on the treadmill before going for margaritas.
Very good. Anyone else want to share on that one?
We cannot top that. Margarita and living life at 1000%. It's so good.
So the next one we're going to do, a lot of times writers come to me and they're like, I have no inspiration. I don't know what story I want to write. I feel blocked. I feel blocked. I don't know what I want to be writing right now. Like, what's next? And a lot of times my advice is just like, write from what's right here. And so that's what we're going to do in this next exercise. We're going to come into a meditation. So you can put your book on the ground and just get into a comfortable seat, feet grounded. And so in this meditation, we're going to go inward, though, to become more aware of our surroundings and what is right here. So you go ahead and close your eyes. You can put your hands in your lap. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And through this connection, you feel with your feet on the floor and your butt in the seat. You start to become aware of all your different senses. You start to become aware of what you are smelling, what you can hear in this room. What do you taste? What do you feel on your skin? Through all the senses, start to walk your awareness from your feet all the way up to the crown of your head. Feeling what exists in your body as it exists inside this room, and even greater in this world. As you're seated, you can stay in this position, but open your eyes, becoming aware of what you see, the different colors. Different people. And the next 30 seconds, just come back here, like let your body wake up. And now I want you to transport me to your experience. So I want you to write from what you heard, what you saw, what you tasted, what you smelt, and what you felt. So you're writing strictly from the senses. Like, I heard nothing, right? Or whatever you did here.
With an I or a she, like, you know, like it's
I think
I.
yeah, from your own experience. But again, using just what is around here as your inspiration.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to share. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can share. Okay.
Isa's gonna share.
The room was warm, colorful, and welcoming. Behind, my son was humming, manifesting happiness. The energy in the room was good, welcoming, open, and high energy. This is what I have to live with. Yet, I felt grounded. As Michelle guided us through the meditation, I could feel my chest rise and then come down to the rhythm of my breathing, this breathing that I forget so often. As we opened our eyes, I saw the beautiful faces of my friends and felt filled with a great sense of gratitude.
Very beautiful.
This is me.
Anyone else want to share?
So, yeah, I started out with what I heard. So I heard cars passing and a light tapping in the kitchen. My feet felt grounded to the earth, and I became aware suddenly of the air in the room. And I thought about how there is no empty space around us or between us. We're submerged in a fluid called air that surrounds us and ascends for miles above us. And for some reason, that seemed profound.
Wow.
I was telling her that somewhere along the way I had heard like a guru or somebody like that talk about, you know, like a focus meditation, like focusing on something ordinary and considering it in a way that you haven't considered it before. You know, like consider like the lotus, or consider a plant or an insect or something like that. Really think about it. And it really, you know, the ordinary things that you don't think about ever are super interesting and intricate, and there's a lot going on with them. So
That's very cool.
So I kind of tend to go in that direction normally.
It's very true. Like sometimes we're like, oh, what's that big thing that I'm gonna write about? But sometimes the big thing is right here, and we're just not aware to it.
This might be a dumb question, but in your experience with your authors, is it any different from like handwriting than typing, or is it?
There's not proven to be like any difference. Either way you do it, like you do get the benefits of the protocol. Yeah, if you're writing about nonfiction, that is right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, hasn't been any proven difference between writing or typing.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Really, really good.
that's very good. Okay, so I think this is where we're. Oh, sorry, light. This actually, I'm gonna keep it rolling. I just feel like there might be some really good things coming up from here. I think like what would be really nice is, and especially we have a small age group today, to each tell two things that that this really cool mini workshop brought us today. And I'm going to start with you because you're just on my right. Sarah.
So 2 cool things that we just learned.
Yeah, 2 things. It doesn't have to be cool, but two things. 2 things. Right?
Just like takeaway, like
2
two-
takeaways. Yeah.
1 takeaway.
2 takeaways and 2
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely loved this. I love writing in general. I've been trying to do a lot more journaling. I haven't done too much traumatic journaling, so maybe I'll have to look into doing that, which is really, really cool that there's so much data behind it. In addition to when I journal, I do feel like a sense of like a weight lifted off. So I think that's really cool that there's that scientific data surrounding it as well. And I love these little books. Gosh, and I also want a tote bag. I just love the workshop, and I feel like it's so nice to know that you can always just take like a few minutes just to write things down, and you can really heal from that. It seems like, or just feel relaxed. And I really appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I think that one thing that I took away was that it's kind of repetitive. It can be helpful in a repetitive space if you're going through something that you kind of need to work through. It's helpful to visit it and maybe in small doses over time. Maybe not, diving so far in that you can't get out or that it's fairly traumatic or stressful for you, but you can take that just 15 minutes a few different times throughout your life and or a period of time, right? And try to gain those types of benefits from journaling was really, really interesting to me to think about. Sometimes we get so sucked into our hole, we can't quite get out. It could put us in a darker place. So I think having some sort of structure around it could help make it more digestible for someone who wants to kind of explore this, but not totally lose themselves. So I really liked that aspect a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's just a key part too. Is like you do what you think you bite off what you can chew. Don't, if you don't feel like writing about it, don't write about it. Right. So that's a key part of the whole thing. So.
That was part of one of the ones that I was going to say. So I echo what Maggie just said. And I didn't know about the 15 minutes 4 times, that 4 was a part of it. But I did know from a therapy perspective about writing it down. I think on a personal note, I'm very hesitant to writing for whatever reason more recently. And maybe this is just a nice little bump reminder that it is beneficial to write when you're feeling stressed. So thank you.
Yeah, my takeaway, my big takeaway was that there's a benefit to using kind of a set amount of time, like that 15-minute concept. I've always found a benefit from writing about my experiences and processing that way. I think it helps you to process because whenever you write something down, it feels like it has to be organized and it has to be correct. And so you really put more energy into kind of nailing all the points, and that helps organize things in your mind. But I always feel like I get sucked into it and I spend hours on it. And so the 15-minute time blocks, I think, could be really useful to enable me to maybe do something like that more often.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
I feel like my takeaway, everything that everyone has said so far, but in this moment, I would say that I'm kind of on a personal takeaway, blown away by the voices that everyone has through writing. Because I know that we all express ourselves in a different way socially than we do in our writing. I feel like we kind of got a little bit of a peek into everyone's psyche, into everyone's vivid experience that you wouldn't get to know or hear otherwise. We wouldn't normally vocalize our senses to one another. So I thought that was a really unique practice, and to write it down was, I don't know, that was just a really cool way to get to exchange that with someone that you may not even know. So yeah, writing, I don't know, I just feel like writing does a lot for us personally, but it also brings us together. Like, we just got to see a little bit of each other's world, and that was really cool.
Very cool. Thank you.
It's beautifully said, and I will echo that, especially in terms of like just being super impressed by the way that you wrote and kind of vocalized your thoughts and feelings in words, and same with everyone who shared. So that was cool. I think for me, I am someone that does not write very often at all, and I would say in general does not operate well in like a silent practice or space of any kind, right? Like
Everyone laughing.
Even if I'm talking to myself or having conversations in my head, like I am such a kind of verbal processor in a way that doesn't often translate to like intentional writing. I think I used to read all the time. I used to write all the time, like just true, I don't know, stream of consciousness. But in terms of like sitting down in a quiet space and being like, I am going to write, I find it really, I think, difficult and intimidating and not comfortable, especially these days, and just because I haven't done it in a long time. But one, I'd say that I enjoyed the little exercises that we did a lot more than I expected to, because it was just like a little bit back to, I think, some of the parts of writing that I used to really enjoy. And I think it was a good reminder for me and cool to learn again, similarly, about like the science behind it and all of these things, and motivating to write. I've used writing sometimes to like similar, like write a letter to an ex, or a letter to my mom, or letter to, you know, in a way to like get your thoughts and emotions and so on down when like the conversation isn't gonna go that way. But I haven't ever thought about it from the perspective of like me processing my own experience for me, as opposed to for like a relationship or for someone else. So lots of really cool stuff. Thanks for sharing.
You have a really distinct, fun voice too. So it's kind of surprising you haven't written recently.
Maybe it's a common.
Start July 1st.
Signs got right here, so there you go.
What I really liked, I echo what everyone else said, but I really love this phrase, like writing heals, and like listening to Isabel's story and writing how you're just like drawn to write your cancer story, and how in turn it became transformational writing that. And even in that first exercise, when I wrote from the perspective of Tiff, like I felt like I could write so much more, versus when I say I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about myself anymore. And it was just like cool to like look at myself from that like outsider opinion, like, oh, what was Tiff's day like? What brought that person joy? And like seeing it from that lens versus seeing it like from like a more internal space. So I thought it was really cool. And I really loved hearing your story and how you got started and being an editor. And I have questions after.
Love it. I'm excited for this question.
Well, I learned from my partner here that she meditates every day, and that was really inspirational to me. That, you know, 5 to 10 minutes of meditation can be really calming, and even just a few minutes that you did, I felt, you know, really kind of brought me down. So, I mean, brought me up, or relaxed me. So I found that inspirational. And then I think our friend here who talked about just looking at ordinary things and thinking deeply about them, that was really striking. And apologies for coming super duper late at the start of time. So, but I'm excited to catch you on the Coexist recording.
Cool. And then I think it's cool. I mean, coming at the end.
Yes, if you have any.
Oh yeah, that's true, Michelle.
My takeaways. Yeah. I really enjoyed being transported to the people that did share. I really enjoyed being transported to like where you were, like the 8th grade graduation. It's like, geez, it's been, I'm probably never going to go to an 8th grade graduation, but it was really cool being transported back to that time that I probably won't experience again. So I thought that was really cool. And I really liked, hearing what came up for you in the meditation. It was a really profound idea, and we all were in different spaces, so being you sharing that, really, it was like, whoa, like we all got that experience because you shared. So those are kind of my main takeaways.
And then for my takeaways, well, I'm always so grateful and so impressed at all the people that come on this Coexist. It's just I don't know, I just love people. And I don't know. I don't know if I love people or if I'm just super blessed to have like most incredible people around me. And so just, you're really talented. And I think I'm echoing everyone because it's just super, like this was what in total, maybe like 8 minutes. And you can actually feel the energy of the room just like anchored. And we could finally listen to, like, we can hear Ayan, playing in the background, whereas I don't think at the beginning we did. And it's funny, I don't think we were talking, but it's almost that there's this buzz that we must have in our brain somehow that you can hear, and suddenly it's gone. And so to me, the meditation and writing from the meditative space, that was really cool. I don't think I've ever done that. So that was really, really cool. And then I'm echoing Shannon. I'm gonna try this on the hard stuff, on the trauma. I think it's gonna be good. 4 times. Wow, that's cool. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
So you can like pick out those recent things, right?
Yeah. Yes. Bunch. My life is made of. There's a whole list of trauma there.
Which event should I pick for today?
I know, right? Exactly. But it is funny because I think I write gratitudes. I will write. I write, and I tell my patients to do that. I write what I want to see. So I write a lot, or like I even draw what I want, like what I would like, like if I want a PET scan, that's normal. I'm going to write that, and I'm going to, draw. And but I've never thought of writing for the trauma. Sometimes I will be just like going out of it, but I've never, just go for the trauma.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I'll report back, guys. I'll report back. But yeah, I'm going to close this unless anyone has any other comment or anything. And thank you so much. I think this was phenomenal. Thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Where can we find Michelle? Where can we find you? Do you want to just share where we can find you? Michelle Gean.
Michelle at bookwritingaccelerator.com, email, or bookwritingaccelerator.com.
Okay, and I'll put it in the show notes. And then one more question. And that can be as many questions as you want. Okay, perfect.
I'm just curious, what does it take to be a good editor?
A good editor?
Yeah.
The training and a lot of experience. So like you've edited a lot of books before, kind of what to expect and how to really mold the story into what it needs to be.
So it's
training,
reading a lot of stories. It's really like curation.
Yeah, it's knowing. It's not just like knowing like this is a story arc, right? But also having done the work itself before. So, yeah.
And then my second question: can you tell more about your book writing accelerator?
Yeah. So we have another 90-day session on July 1st, launching July 1st, where we'll be writing books and healing.
And what does it look like?
in the 90 days.
In the 90 days,
breakdown.
if I were to sign up.
Yeah, so we break it down. First, it's planning, discovering the idea, validating the idea into writing. Writing kind of flows throughout, and then every week you're meeting with an editor to keep you on track, but also review what you've written. So, you're writing 5,000 words a week, which will put you at the finish line, finishing your book at the end. And then we pair you with, the best cover designers, formatters, so that at that finish line, you're actually finished with a published book.
And do I need to have an idea before coming to it, or anything written, or?
You don't have to have anything written. Typically, people do have an idea of what they're writing. We find it works best, for both people who are passionate about writing and ready to share their story, as well as like entrepreneurs who would like to use it as a platform to launch their business as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Sounds great.
You have a new client.
It could be fiction or nonfiction.
Sorry?
It could be fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah, it can be. Our typical writers are nonfiction.
Oh, okay.
It can be both.
That's cool.
And are most people, when they're doing the accelerator, are most people working full time and doing this on the side?
Yeah.
Is it something that people often like have challenges like prioritizing and hitting the targets of 5,000 words a week, or do people generally figure it out pretty quickly?
They figure it out pretty quickly, and we also offer like lots of group sessions throughout the week where in that hour it's typically you can write a prompt that's offered, or you can write part of your book. So you are given sessions built in that help you achieve like those writing, the word count that you're going for.
And you help edit.
Yeah, so you get a fully edited book
Which is
at the end,
huge.
which is a big, yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to close the recording. We can mingle. And then, see you next time. Bye, guys.